Hey everyone, and welcome back to the deep dive. You know, we always bring you the most up-to-date info about life in Italy, and today we're going to really unpack some recent findings that are crucial if you're thinking about taking the plunge and moving to Italy. Plus, we'll be spotlighting a city this week that you might not have considered but could be a real hidden gem.
This is going to be really interesting. We're going to take a close look at those property auctions that you see online. You know the ones, always a bit tempting, but are they actually legitimate? Then we'll delve into Italy's healthcare system because it's one thing to fall in love with the food and culture, but you need to know your health is in good hands too. And of course, we'll wrap things up with a detailed look at the town we've chosen for this week's spotlight.
Sounds good to me.
All right, well, let's jump right in there.
Let's do it. Okay, so first up, let's talk about something that's really been making the rounds lately, property auction scams. Unfortunately, there are people out there trying to take advantage of folks like us who dream of owning a piece of Italy.
It's sad but true, and it's getting more and more common, especially on social media sites like Facebook. These scammers create these fake auction listings, and they're very cleverly designed to appeal to people who are maybe not so familiar with the Italian property market. They're excited about the prospect of moving to Italy, and maybe they let
Their guard down a little. Yeah, I can see how that could happen. So, what exactly are they doing?
like, how do these schemes actually work? Well, they often create these very believable profiles online, have photos and everything, and then they advertise these properties. They are ridiculously low, like way below market value. It's almost like a dream come true.
Find a beautiful villa for a fraction of the price. I can see how people would fall for that initial excitement of seeing such a bargain. It's hard to resist.
Exactly, and that's what they're banking on. So you see this amazing deal, you get excited and you contact them. Then they'll usually ask for a small deposit to secure your place in the auction, a couple of €100, something like that.
So they're not asking for huge sums of money right away. It's more about getting their foot.
In the door, precisely, but here's the catch. The option doesn't exist. It's all made up. Once they've collected a few of these deposits, poof, they disappear. It's heartbreaking because people lose their money and their dreams are shattered. Ah, that's terrible, and it's not just
Random properties they're using, right? They're actually using real listings from legitimate real estate agents.
that's right, and this is what makes it so dangerous. Even reputable agencies like Sotheby's or Italian Luxury Assets have had their listings hijacked by these scammers. It really undermines trust in the whole online property market.
Wow, that's really worrying. So, for anyone out there looking at properties online, what are some absolute must do's to avoid falling victim to?
These scams, well, the most important thing is to be extremely cautious. Don't rush into anything. Always verify the legitimacy of the auction. Do your research. Contact recognized real estate agents in Italy. If a deal seems too good to be true, it probably is. So trust your gut feeling, basically. Exactly. But there are also some practical steps you can take when you're looking at an online listing. Look closely at the website. Use a tool like Quiz to check when and where the website was registered. If it was registered very recently, like right before these amazing deals started appearing, that's a huge red flag.
Oh, that's a good tip. So, if a website suddenly pops up with incredible deals, be suspicious.
Absolutely. Also, remember that legitimate property options in Italy typically go through official platforms like Asta La Gali or Kimo. If you don't see a listing on those kinds of established websites, proceed with extreme caution.
Okay, so be wary of unbelievable prices, investigate the source of the listing, and stick to trusted and verified channels,
That's it in a nutshell. It's so important to be informed and do your due diligence.
especially when you're dealing with something as significant as buying property. Great advice. Okay, let's switch gears now and talk about healthcare. Italy has a good reputation in this area, but what's the reality.
On the ground, yeah. Italy does generally have a well-regarded healthcare system. In fact, the Leganum Prosperity Index ranked it 17th in the world in 2023, ahead of the US and the UK. And in Newsweek's top 250 hospitals in the world, ranking for 2024, 12 Italian hospitals were included. So overall, Italy performs very well.
That's reassuring to know. And as far as I know, Italy has universal healthcare.
Yes, that's right. As a legal resident, you have access to comprehensive healthcare coverage. But here's the thing, the quality and efficiency of the public healthcare system can vary quite a bit from region to region. We've been looking at data from Agenis, which is Italy's national agency for healthcare services, and it highlights some interesting regional differences.
So it's not a one size fits all situation. Where do things seem to be working best?
Well, regions in the north, like Veneto and Emilia-Romagna, consistently perform very well, especially in emergency care and overall hospital ratings. They seem to have a good
Balance of quality care and efficiency. So if someone is prioritizing healthcare in their decision, these regions might be worth a closer look.
definitely. On the other hand, some southern regions like Calabria and Campania face bigger challenges, particularly in emergency response times and access to specialist care. So that's something to be aware of if you're considering those areas.
It's interesting how there are these regional variations.
Yeah, and even within the same region, there can be differences between urban and rural areas. For example, Lombardy has some of the top hospitals nationally, but if you live in a remote part of Lombardy, your access to specialists might be different than someone living in Milan.
That makes sense. So it's important to look beyond the region and consider the local specifics as well.
Absolutely. And this is where the Town Explorer on Magic Towns Italy comes in handy. It has filters for healthcare, quality, and proximity to hospitals.
That's fantastic. It gives people the information they need to make informed choices.
Right. And speaking of specific locations, let's move on to our featured city this week, Vicenza.
Vicenza, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
It's in the Veneto region, which, as we've just heard, has a very strong healthcare system. Vicenza is a beautiful city renowned for its Palladian architecture. You know, those elegant buildings designed by Andrea Palladio? They're a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Oh, wow. I've seen pictures. They're stunning.
Yeah, they're incredible. But Vicenza isn't just about history, it's also a dynamic business center with a thriving economy based on jewelry, textiles, and a growing IT sector.
So it's a blend of old world charm and modern dynamism.
Exactly. In terms of size, the official population is around 110,300, but the real population within a 5-kilometer radius is closer to 218,300. And what about income levels? The income per capita in 2023 was about 24,300 euro, which puts it around the middle nationally. In terms of transport, Vicenza is very well connected. It has good road connections and 3 airports within easy reach. Verona Airport is just 36 minutes away. Venice Airport is about 43 minutes, and Treviso Airport is 49 minutes.
So getting there and exploring the surrounding area is pretty straightforward.
Absolutely. And if you prefer train travel, the main station, Stazione di Vicenza, is right in the center of town with high-speed trains to major cities like Venice and Milan, operated by Trenitalia and Midlo.
Sounds convenient. And what about housing?
There's a high availability of housing in Vicenza, which is good news for anyone looking to move there.
Okay, let's talk about healthcare in Vicenza specifically.
Vicenza has a healthcare score of 57. The nearest hospital, Hospital San Bartolo P. Soccer, is just 3 minutes from the city center. And the local public healthcare provider is Hacienda ULSS N8 Barica.
That's the one we mentioned earlier that performs well nationally.
Exactly. It's known for efficient post surgical recovery and timely interventions for heart conditions. However, There's always room for improvement, and they've identified some areas that could be better, like follow-up care after a heart attack and certain surgical procedures.
So overall, a pretty good picture for healthcare. What about safety?
Vicenza has a moderate earthquake risk. The road accident rate is around 49 per 10,000 inhabitants, and car insurance costs are pretty much average for Italy.
Okay. And what can you tell us about the property market in Vicenza?
Well, as I mentioned, there's a good availability of housing and property prices are quite reasonable. The first quartile for property prices per square meter is $1,227. The median is $1,786, and the third quartile is $2,394.
So it sounds like there could be some good deals to be found.
Potentially, yes. Another great thing about Vicenza is that it's very walkable. It's actually been described as a walker's paradise, so you can easily get around.
On foot and enjoy the city's charm. That's a big plus for many people. What about schools?
The average ranking of schools in Vicenza is in the top 30% nationally, and in terms of standardized tests, they're in the top 20%. There's a good mix of primary schools, secondary schools, high schools, and even some options for higher education.
So families with children are well catered for. What's the climate like in Vicenza?
Vicenza has a moderate climate with a good balance of rainfall and sunshine. The winters are mild with some light snowfall, and the summers are warm.
Sounds pretty idyllic.
It is quite pleasant. Now, in terms of air quality, Vicenza gets an overall rating of fair. For specific pollutants, PM10, PM2.5, and ozone are also rated as fair, while nitrogen dioxide and sulfur dioxide are rated as good. So generally good for outdoor activities. Yeah, overall it's not bad. And when you combine that with the walkability factor, it means you can really enjoy exploring the city and the surrounding countryside. So we've got a city with a rich history.
Beautiful architecture, a dynamic economy, and a comfortable climate. What's not to love?
Right. Vicenza really does seem to tick a lot of boxes, but like any location, there are also some potential downsides to consider.
Oh, of course, every place has its pros and cons.
Right. So in Vicenza, the international community might be smaller than in some of the bigger cities. The air quality, while generally fair, isn't perfect, and the healthcare score, although good, isn't the highest in Italy. Okay, so some things to weigh up. Yeah. Also, summers can be a bit humid. The nightlife might not be as vibrant as in other cities. Some attractions might be easier to reach by car. And the local cuisine, although delicious, might not appeal to everyone's taste. I guess it depends on what you're looking for. Exactly. A few other things to bear in mind are that public transport can be less frequent outside of peak hours. There's the language barrier, of course, and the shopping options, although decent, might not be as extensive as in a major.
Fashion capital. So it's all about finding the right fit for your lifestyle and priorities.
Absolutely. But I think Vicenza has a lot to offer, and it's definitely worth considering if you're looking for a charming, livable city with a strong sense of history.
I agree. Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, haven't we? We've talked about property auction scams, explored regional variations in healthcare, and taken a deep dive into the city of Vicenza. We certainly have. And for anyone who
Wants to explore these topics further or research other towns and cities in Italy, don't forget about the Town Explorer on Magic Towns Italy. It's a treasured trove of information. Absolutely.
and Magic Towns Italy offers full details and expat resources to help you navigate your move to Italy. Thanks everyone for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.